Hello, hello. You hear me? Yes.
I had to do that because I've been telling everybody one of these days it's going to pop on. It's not going to be me.
That's funny. Was
So what's going on?
going good. I'm just setting it up on my end. All right, looks good on my end. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. We got Floyd in the house. You're live on your end. I'm live on my end.
We are absolutely.
All right. Like the shirt, costume change.
Set change.
Yeah, exactly. Do you like my debate about if pancakes are natural or not? It's the best video I've ever done out of my 1,000+ videos.
Great title. I was laughing just on the title alone. I didn't even get to hear any of it because you and I were talking.
So your followers, just so they know in case they're watching the replay, I'm Cory Endrulat. I do a lot of different work regarding truth and freedom. And Floyd and I, we're pretty close trying to help people free themselves ultimately and from all the different things that are going after them. I originally found Floyd through my experience with the assemblies and common law, state national people. And I felt like, man, this is kind of cultish, kind of not right. And, here's Floyd with like hundreds of people who are like leaving the assembly who are like, man, there's problems here and there. And I was like, wow. So I was like, I'll reach out to Floyd. He seems like a cool dude. And he ended up being awesome. So, we've been keeping in touch ever since. And we did a couple shows before. He tends to look up to me for like my age for some reason, even though, we're all in this together. And, what we need really is a conscious shift. I've talked about this on the show, but, I'm here to try to evolve humanity. And now I'm starting to do a lot more live streams. So for anybody who's listening, I encourage you to come on my channel sometime. I'm going to be doing live streams like regularly or daily, out in person, on the streets, sometimes at the computer, depending on the day and what goes on. But you're welcome to join in, chat, share your resources. We do reacts, we do gaming, we do everything. I have a sword with me too, which is pretty cool. Good sword, it's pretty sick. Anyway. All right, there we go. There's my intro.
Didn't you do a video and tell everybody that everybody needs a sword to defend themselves with?
Oh, yeah, that would be a great video, actually. Good idea. I'm writing that down. Why you should not buy a gun, you should buy a sword. That's a good title.
Do you collect swords?
No. That's the only. My dad always knew that I wanted the sword, and that was like a long time ago. So he's like, all right. He found one at like a garage sale, and then he's like, he got it for me. So I'm like, all right, thanks. Yeah, it was like cool. I'm like, why not share it on stream? But yeah, I'm not a fan of having too many things. I like to kind of simplify my life, but it's a cool little fun little thing to have. So why not? Right. It is self-defense, actually. So.
Yeah, Cory has been on my show twice previously, and I was just looking at those as I was setting this up. And the first show, I think you had to wait about 45 minutes to an hour while I was going off on something else. And you appeared for about an hour and 15 minutes maybe. And then the second one was a 3.5 hour show that we did together. We did a lot of discussion. You're into permaculture. Mm-hmm. Now, when I was in Puerto Rico, and we didn't have a chance to discuss this a minute ago.
Sure.
Permaculture is perfect there because it semi already exists. Mm-hmm. But nobody's consolidating it, pulling all the native species together and go, okay, if we just incorporate all these in one place, bananas, mangoes, and they have a host of other, wild edibles, plus introducing, others into the area. Mm-hmm. And how you doing, Conspiratary? She's one over here. She's really knowledgeable. But destination hostels, where you go and you're away from the Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth, cell phones. You go there to learn about permaculture, to chill. We'll have other activities like yoga, teach you how to cook, prepare food. So
Hmm.
it's a destination within a destination. You follow me? But
Absolutely.
but we have these all over the island in Puerto Rico. There's not just one. Like you can go up in the mountains, and then we can have one up there, and then we have another one over here by the beach, and then we have, another one over here because there's you don't know this, but there's different beaches in Puerto Rico. You can be on one beach and the sand is like super grainy, real big grains, and it'll stick everywhere.
Hmm.
And then you walk 200 yards down and get to another beach, and it's real fine grain sand and it doesn't stick to you at all.
Hmm.
It's and the beaches are like that. They have different
Yeah.
colored
It's like
sand.
that here in Florida, actually.
Is it
Different, like you
okay?
go travel 30 minutes, beach is totally different.
Yeah, okay. It's the same
Yeah.
thing that
Well, it's also because most of the beaches are man-made, actually. There's very few that are actually natural.
uh,
Um, so, and some of them get like straight up just wiped out from hurricanes. But Clearwater Beach, people from all around the world go there because
right,
they
yeah.
know it's like a natural, beautiful beach, and that's like 30 minutes from me. It's a beautiful beach. Except Scientology owns the whole town, so that's a whole cult of its own.
What?
Yeah, yeah. In the 70s, they actually planned to take over the whole world, but we'll ignore that.
Really? They were in Clearwater, Florida, huh?
They pretty much, I mean, I would say so I think they own like a third of the town, and then they lobby like the people there, and then they get away with different crimes. A lot of YouTubers have been like
Allegedly.
protesting there. Actually, I could probably join them on the streets, be like, "Yo, what's up? I'm a content creator too." I was planning on maybe doing that, but there was sometimes internal drama within the Scientology community too, because a lot of them escaped and they had a lot of trauma. And Scientology is an alternative to psychiatry. So the people who were involved with Scientology, you know, they are not, they're not mentally like they went there because of their mental issues to some extent, or because they needed something in life, and then they put all their money into it because it costs so much money. So then if they get out, it's another trauma of its own, right? You're going to face a lot of backlash. You're going to try to find other methods to maybe help yourself. Like it's hard escaping that cult, and that's why it pulls people in. It's why cults are very effective. And the only thing that I critiqued on your cult video that you did with several others was that I saw Osho or Rajneesh as one of the cult leaders on the famous cult leaders in history, and that's the only one I question sincerely. And I've been investigating it quite a lot. There's some banned documentaries and stuff out there too, but the Osho was very unique. I'd say America lost somebody who is potentially one of the most powerful freedom fighters in the world, not even 100 years ago.
Are you saying
Osho,
Osho?
yes,
Who
or his
who
name is
who is
Rajneesh. And
right?
some people think he's Sadhguru, but they mixed the two together, and that's unfortunate because Sadhguru is kind of like involved with the World Economic Forum and stuff. Osho was like a total rebel. He came over to America, created his own town, called himself an anarchist, and the government went crazy, and they started targeting him. So that's why I don't think, like, yes, there were, of course, cultish elements, but it's so much deeper. It's so hard to generalize on that. Netflix made a hit piece documentary on him called Wild West, Wild Wild West, or something like that. And it went viral. And now people think of Osho as a cult leader, which I think is truly unfortunate because his teachings were so beautiful. And I'd
this
almost say that there's nobody out there on the internet that speaks like he does, at least that
this
I've
guy?
seen it. Yes. Yes, and you'll see there's going to be different hit things about him and claims about him that I'm kind of unsure of because there are a lot of third party, like this person said this, he said, she said, and people are writing books and kind of making money off of his stuff when he died and was sent to jail, by the way, because the government was trying everything in their power to send him to jail, even though he invited the FBI to the compound to investigate because he didn't want any problems. He kind of invited the problems because of that, but he was doing his best to be as transparent as possible from my
Right.
looks of it. But he was traveling here and there right when he was about to go on an airplane. They got him, put him in prison. He claimed that they poisoned him in jail and then he died. So I'm more likely to believe that he was poisoned than like anything else that these mainstream documentaries and stuff claim, just because he was such a rebel for his time. And it was just when the internet and technology and media was starting to be produced. or at least much more rapidly produced. So now his videos online get millions of views. Like they're going viral. His one most popular clip is him saying, "Democracy is for the people, by the people, but the people are retarded." It's like his most like viral clip ever. It's hilarious.
Oh no, he did not.
Yeah, so I mean, his story though is fascinating the more you go into it, because you look at all the comments on YouTube, you'll see, oh, I lived in his compound. I lived in the 60s and the 70s. I was there. He promoted free love and free this, and that's why he was attacked, because oh, look, he promoted free love, so there's all like sex and drugs, and they're naked and they're hippies, you know. So he was attacked for that, and then because of the freedom, all the people with traumas would go to this place. So, like, what do you expect to happen if all these people with trauma have to release it somehow? He's offering kind of psychological tools to help them overcome it, like meditation and other techniques that are sometimes alternative and kind of radical. The media is going to feed that up. And also, he's not a Christian, right? He's kind of like against all religion, against everything. So all the people who lived there in the West were like, I don't like this man coming into my town. He's not a Christian. He's like satanic. He's taking over our town. Like, and then there's just so much drama, so much stuff. And it's like, we didn't live in that time period. We didn't have all the cameras on everything all the time. How do we know what is true? And even with Mahatma Gandhi, there's so many things claimed about him, about like habits and things that he did, people he slept with. It's like, how do you know what's the point? Like Gandhi just created a whole revolution in India. I'd say that's a pretty admirable act. He suffered, went to jail for his beliefs, and some of the things he said is amazing. Doesn't mean everything he did is perfect. I'm not saying this guy's perfect either. But to what extent are these claims untrue? It's so hard to know. you know?
Absolutely, especially with the way that they've distorted the historical narrative for for almost everything.
You should watch some of these like interviews and stuff they did in the 60s and 70s of people who went there. They're like people I meet, like, going to these freedom and truth events. The people who want to live off grid and go build their own town. And they were massively successful doing this in the 60s. It's the government that stopped them from doing it. And this is why it caused them to be like, we need to create our own army. And now they create a whole threat to the system. And so they had to be targeted. They had to be done away with. And this is why I don't recommend that as a solution, by the way. It's like, we got to build a commune and go off grid, because it's going to take a moral shift, which Osho knew this. But the commune approach, was getting popular at the time with like communism and everything, but also like the 60s revolution, of people thinking freely. It was all kind of just in its prime. And I think people were looking for it. It's just, it's so unfortunate that turn of events happened. And I tend to study it a lot because it intrigues me. Because I don't want that to happen again, of course. I don't want there to be another cult leader, that arises and people follow them, whether they're actually a cult or not, like the Children of God and all these other guys. It's crazy stuff, right? I just didn't like on that one video that he was grouped in with all these other guys, because he wasn't like them. He didn't have like a bad upbringing. He didn't have any traumas that it seemed like he was releasing on others or projecting. He was actually like an academic in his youth who was studying like every book, read like everything, and knew things to a T. The dude was crazy intelligent. And a lot of psychopaths and people who are crazy, don't get me wrong, they could be pretty intelligent. But I think he was on a whole different level. And that's maybe it's my own personal bias.
You just outed me, dude.
I mean, you should be wary of everybody you listen to and stuff. Like, this, like Anna, how captivating they are. They get people's emotions. They know just what to say to get people to send them money. Like, they know it is profoundly crazy. And then they make everybody in the conspiracy group, look crazy, or they get grouped in and then they have a figurehead. And it's like the whole idea of statism, what I talk about with the belief in authority, applies here too. Although it's not the belief in government authority.
Define that for, because you're talking to your audience, but come over here and explain that to my audience. What statism is.
Statism is the belief in authority or the right to rule. Usually specifically refers to rulers and people in power. So you think of the monarchy, the king and queen, they put on a certain outfit. Oh, I have this right to rule. it was more obvious back then. It's less obvious now, as now we have presidents and now they wear fancy suits and ties. They still look a little different from the average person. The point is that they're able to commit certain actions that we aren't able to commit, right? So they're our servants, but yet they're able to tax us, and they're able to pass laws by the flick of a pen, which enforces and demands that certain things must happen by the threat of violence. That all takes place because of authority, this belief, this superstition, where all the order followers think they must do whatever they are told to do because of an authority figure. So Dr. Stanley Milgram experiments, Larkin Rose in his book and his movie, The Jones Plantation, details this. But it's that basic belief in authority. Now, if you trace this belief of authority to also experts, content creators, doctors, advertisers, or corporations, or anything that you see as exalted, you can say this is another form of authority, except it's more voluntary. Right. So you're not being coerced against your will to have to obey their every order, but it can still be dangerous. So, like in the case of these cult leaders that we're talking about, they can be very deceiving, and lying, you can say, is a form of a crime or something that is not so great. Right. So people have to expose them for that and share information. But the point is that I'm saying you should question all authority and definitely question government authority, because that authority does not exist. There's always going to be people who are, leaders in their field, who always look astounding to others, who you want to emulate their actions and stuff, and you're going to be deceived. That's always going to happen. But you don't have to give away your self-ownership. You don't have to become a slave. You don't have to give someone the right to rule. That's a whole different type of authority that doesn't need to exist. It's the same thing with the slave master. So right now, most of us probably listening, maybe first world country or whatever, we don't generally promote slavery. We don't like slavery. At least if we see it, we oppose it, although there might be hidden forms in things we buy, not knowing we're contributing to it. But nonetheless, we deny slavery. We deny the right of the slaveholder to have authority over the slave, right? Well, that's a different type of authority, of course, than some leader who actually wants to help people and voluntarily. So that's why I'm making that distinction. Two types of authority. And you could also just say it's authority versus leadership. And leadership can still deceive you. Leadership can still be a cult, right? But one has violence, one doesn't. And it can lead up to that, right? It can lead up to violence. If you say, man, this person is the best and he can do whatever he wants, it can get to that point. Just as, say, you were to drink a lot and you did vices, right? Vices are not crimes, but vices can lead up to crimes. So let's not confuse the two, just as we would not confuse leadership and authority. Anyways, does that make sense, Floyd?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Lysander Spooner wrote a whole book on vices are not crimes. Definitely recommend for anybody out there into moral topics or these ideas. A very basic moral guideline, for sure.
Well, you were going in with the statism. That was a definition, right?
Yep. Yeah, and I have a whole page, if you want to pull it up, healthrevealed.org. Right, this is, yes, healthrevealed.org. This is our health project. And so if you guys know anyone in the medical field on your stream or my stream, please reach out. If you're in the medical field or you have any experiences, we want to hear from you. So yeah, go to healthrevealed.org and then /statism, STISM. And then you can get a really full picture view of what this is. Through psychology, through studies, through experiments, and it's all on top. All stuff that we don't know about. And this is what I'm trying to bring to the medical community, Floyd. This is what I believe I want to enter the conversation to Jordan Peterson about. That's my goal with this project.
Brave.
I'm just a human being trying to make it in a world that is very rapidly losing its understanding of being human. John Trudell. Yeah, and that's psychosis, right? Not knowing who you are or what is natural, what not, what is real, what is not. People need to have the realization that they are man and woman first and foremost, and everything else afterwards. And so is everything else, everyone else in the world. The differences are cultural programming. Yeah, we're all humanity, or you could say men and women, in case it's common law terminology. Right. The point is context. And Daryl shared a quote from Osho. For the love of humanity and all nation states and all religions and all titles, for a man can never be anything but a man. See, that's what Osho was promoting. I mean, how insanely radical for today's age, nonetheless, 40 to 50 years ago.
All right. I'm not finding healthrevealed.org.
Health Revealed, ED. Health
Oh, revealed. I don't
Yes. And you could also, if you're on a search engine, guys, you can look up psychology of statism. It should be among some of the first results because we're really honing in on that. So we're going to be detailing more of the mindset, what's actually causing what I believe to be the root cause to all tyranny. And yet it goes completely ignored by most freedom folks. Larkin Rose knows this. He makes a video almost every day now on his YouTube channel about everything happening in the world. So definitely should follow his work. There you go. Scroll down. And you'll see there's seminar stuff, but scroll down. So there's a summary of Health Revealed. So for all your medical people, you can share this like summary of who we are. Our press kit as well, bios, summary, slides. But you can click on what is statism. It's what we're talking about right now. And I think, if anyone from the medical field were to see this page, it should raise some alarm bells. At least it should, in my opinion, about what this thing is. Is it opening for you?
Yeah. What, the video?
No, what is statism? Did it open?
Yeah, we're looking at it.
Oh, okay. I don't see it on my end. Maybe share your screen again.
Stop sharing.
And let me know what questions you have about this, Floyd, because was I the first one to introduce this concept to you?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So I want you to be honest with me about what you don't know about and, why I think it's so important, right? So obviously I'm the one having to contend the case, but as someone who's totally new to this, let me know if you have any particular questions. Okay. And be willing to challenge me if you will, because I want to see more people see this perspective.
You want to be challenged.
Yes. Well, I have to some extent because it's going to happen. People just don't speak up necessarily about the things they disagree with or may not have full comprehension of.
Okay. I'll tell you, this is how can I frame this so your audience understands? Because most of your audience has no idea. I'm a 3-time loser. Last time I went to prison, I spent 14 years and 2 months flat incarcerated on a 60-year sentence for my 3rd DWI as a habitual felony offender in the state of Texas. I'm very familiar with the state of Texas and how they work, and they're very familiar with me. I'm on parole till I'm 100 years old. The problem with Texas is they're corrupt, they're fraudulent, they protect their own, no accountability. And by being on parole, they would lock me up and then ask questions later. And the problem with that is if you don't have an infrastructure of people to take care of everything you're leaving behind, you lose it. That includes pets, all your property, whether it's real or personal, it doesn't matter. And I've lost everything like that before. I left it with somebody that I thought would take care of it, which would be my now ex-wife. And she screwed around and got herself locked up and didn't pay the storage, and it got auctioned off.
I see. And
that's the problem I have, and I'll explain this to you even better form. I just had a former coworker that was a stagehand with me reach out to me, and he went on some kind of crime spree. So as soon as I saw what was going on, I'm like, okay, I got to back off that guy. And eventually I just blocked his phone number. Didn't, because he was just way out there.
Yeah.
And he went and did his time, got rehabilitated, got out on parole, did everything he was supposed to do, acting right. He was truck driving. They called him and told him, okay, you're done with your parole. You're off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he didn't get his discharge certificate, which is what he should have done. Mm-hmm. He didn't get that physically in his hand going, okay, I signed it. I'm done. That's a wrap. Contract's over. See you later.
Yeah.
Well, that's what his PO told him. Well, unbeknownst to him, he's in Chicago pulling a load, and he doesn't know that there's a blue warrant issued for him for leaving the state because, his parole really wasn't done. Mm. They locked him up in Chicago, extradited him to Texas, put him back in prison. He got out, and guess what? His truck's gone. He's responsible for that load, which was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars because he didn't have insurance to cover it. So this is what they do to you. They shoot first, and then they'll go maybe ask some questions, and they might do something about it. So I'm in this predicament, even though, I do poke the bear in the eyes, chances as I get. That's what they'll do to somebody like myself. Now, do they want me back in prison? Probably not, because of just my knowledge and intelligence. Because I'm going to attract people because, all those people in there think that I'm going to have their Willy Wonka golden ticket, how to get out of prison. Because I'm, the assembly, the whole sovereign citizen bullshit, UCC, all that crap. They are, and I can't call it all crap because there are some good processes and methodologies in there that do work. But for the most part, most of them, they're just going to take you on a train ride. Mm-hmm. And, as we talk about those as well, I briefly mentioned to you, David Straight's passed away because we've talked about the assembly stuff. Apparently he got turbo cancer in January, passed away in March. I think the end of March he passed away. His wife, Bonnie, and this is the easiest way to explain this to you guys about following these gurus who call themselves American state nationals, American nationals, whatever. Okay. There's only two status that exist under the federal government, a U.S. citizen and U.S. national. There's no other thing anywhere. Okay. Because if you got to go get a passport, those are the only two passport statuses you can get. U.S. citizen, U.S. national. End of story. So I've done several videos on David's wife, Bonnie Thomas Straight, who is now out on bond. And I was telling Cory this earlier, and forgive me for repeating it to you, but people should know who to follow and what to listen to. If you take your time, and you may not have to, you can go watch my multi-part series I did on Bonnie Straight. And the reason it took so many parts is because of the extensivity of her legal record. That's what I went back and read. Hey, what happened in the trial court? I don't care about the rumors and the gossip, scuttlebutt, all that. She was going through a divorce case. Apparently there was a child custody issue. The divorce judge ordered her for some reason to surrender all her firearms to her attorney. Several months later, she gets caught going in the Johnson County courthouse on a non-court day for her, had a firearm. It went off and registered with the metal detector. She fled the courthouse. They came out and arrested her on the courthouse steps, charged her with possession of a weapon in a governmental building. Okay. Now she's also in violation of the divorce court order. So she cops out for a 5-year sentence on that for probated. So she does 4 years, 10 and a half months on probation. She's got 45 days to go on probation, and she's done. Go live her life. Except she met David Straight. And that's when her legal record did like whoop-de-doo
Yeah, yeah.
and went into the Twilight Zone. For some reason, her probation got revoked. She'd already pled guilty to get the probation, so she's at the mercy of the court. Court gave her 5 years prison. So after doing almost 5 years on probation, she went to prison. Did a year, got out on parole. While out on parole, apparently she violated it. I think she went to Wisconsin to see David with his seminar, got popped. They incarcerated her. She got out in December. And how she went through that and got her parole transferred to Arkansas from Texas, I have no idea. It seems unlikely to me, but apparently that's what has happened. She was put under the jurisdiction of the Arkansas Parole Division. Johnson County here in Texas issued apparently another charge for felony assault. They incarcerated her in Arkansas, and she made bail. She was incarcerated during the time that David passed away, his last dying moments. Obviously, David Straight doesn't have the answer to anything. His mastermind program that he created with the other two guys in January, well, they created actually in 2023.
Now people are going to take off his legacy.
Into 2023, he created his own legacy. And listen, we all know what'll fix this thing right? We all know. It's no secret.
Wait, what thing are you referring to?
All the different methodologies that you can utilize.
Oh, the cards and stuff? Okay, I don't know what he's talking about. I think I might know, but how you guys doing?
This stuff.
What in the world? Oh, okay.
To get that, I can't say it. I can't say it on YouTube. But
we just showed it on screen, though. Still gonna see that.
Bro, what this? You never seen this before?
Oh my! Stop showing it on screen.
Oh, stop. Okay, I thought you said show it on the screen.
I mean, bro, it's not like their algorithms are smart. They see things if it's bad.
Yeah, I know they're getting better and better. Anyway, I didn't say that other word.
Is it really that bad? Okay. Anyways.
Whatever. Oh, bro, it's they'll let it slide, and you'll think, okay, that's cool, and then 18 months later, like, boom. Okay, you got a strike for a video you did in February of 2022. Like, what was that video about?
Well, geez. I mean, I talked a lot about drama today. I talked about the Flat Earth community, talked about Scientology, and I talked about Osho, and now we're talking about David Stray. Like, gosh, we're just... But anyways, I don't like to talk about other people as much as I like to, emphasize the followers, right? Because obviously they're nothing without the followers. And I actually said, I'm grateful I don't have a whole lot of followers because the internet can take you down. I shared an example with Jeranism, who was a major flat earther who turned to a globe thing after years of promoting that on his channel, and he got attacked so much by his community. But that is courage right there, and that is honesty. Jeranism, you should connect with him. Actually, he does live streams all the time. You should totally connect with him.
Hang on, my dog. I can't hear when you bark, girl.
Daryl, judges cannot just see you and you stand as man because he's in the deer. Yeah.
Did you say Jeremy or Jaren?
Jeranism is his name. Yo, wow, your face. Look at you're glowing.
It's the lights adjusting.
Yeah. All right, cool, man. I like that. So, I mean, yeah, I try not to talk too much about people behind their back. I mean, obviously he's passed away, but the problem is people are going to take his legacy. They're going to take his work and probably go 100 directions with it. I mean, so you're probably going to have to make another 100 episodes on new characters that come out of the woodworks.
I don't do that anymore. But we were talking about the assemblies, and basically you're just going to go in this circle. You're going to go get in that little pen and walk that circle with all the other horses in this circle. And one day you're going to that grass sure looks greener over there. Maybe we should go over there and check that out because there ain't no green grass in here anymore. We've trampled it all because you just keep
Yeah.
going in circles and repeat. And I didn't get a chance to bring up his whole mastermind program that he ran that's now over in, it's in Chaos City. But what that has done is broken more people away from the cultism of David Straight and the masterminds, and that there's really a process out there that you can access your minor trust and start buying stuff or discharge stuff. And I've been doing this since 2013. That's how long I've been playing with this stuff.
Well, my friend Mike knows a lot about like the court stuff. There's like whole communities out there where they talk about court cases, and they actually like, and this is another issue I have, is like they kind of make fun of all the sovereign people, and I feel bad for the sovereign people because they're just trying to find a method to be free, and they're being attacked by the state, and they didn't commit any actual crime necessarily. Some of them do, and then they try to hide it or whatever.
Right.
But like it kind of gives a bad reputation on everybody, and then these YouTubers over here are making a living attacking these guys for fun, for entertainment, not seeing that these guys just want to be free. And so it's like, again, it's like another issue with a community that's online that exists because people like drama and people like entertainment. And so that's what they go after when it's not still the truth, and kind of can blur the waters and stuff. But Mike is aware of that. You're in the chat, Afix, you know what I'm talking about. There's like a bunch of, and they're cool people, some of the people who run these channels, but like they make their content making this stuff entertaining, and it's like, I don't know about that. And some of these people they have their lives ruined, and they're just trying to repair it, and then they get themselves down a rabbit hole, and then they don't know how to get themselves out, and I guess they just feel like, oh, I should commit and just study and become my own judge and go to court and then fight them, and crazy.
They are not going to relinquish their authority. Talking about the state, the government.
Yeah.
No matter what we do, we see with these, even on the federal level, with these judges, the U.S. district judges that are issuing these injunctions against Trump, deporting the illegal immigrants. Same thing. They're active as judges, acting as legislators on the bench, and that's a problem.
Yeah,
a big problem. And let me explain it to you like this, just to give you an example of what the justice system in Texas looks like. Okay. We have the district courts, which in Texas, it doesn't matter if it's a family district court, criminal district court, civil district court, they can all practice any law that they want. Yeah. Okay. They just put a label on it to make you believe that, oh, I remember criminal. But it's everything. All those courts are commercial processes under civil rules and procedure, masquerading as whatever they've labeled it. Okay. So you go through trial, boom, you lose, whatever it is. You appeal it. It goes to one of 14 courts of appeal, which are intermediary appellate courts, because we have the Court of Criminal Appeals and the Texas Supreme Court. Court of Criminal Appeals obviously deals with all criminal issues. Texas Supreme Court, civil, family, etc.
Yeah, I don't know any of this, by the way.
And I'm breaking it off and showing you, okay? All of those judgeships and justice on the courts of appeals, they're all elected positions. Okay? Yeah. So let's say you're going to civil court, okay, and your issue is femtotechnology. Somebody's violated your patent for femtotechnology, which I use that specifically because if you go look up femtotechnology, it's a hypothetical futuristic technology that doesn't exist, except Donald Wilsh has 2 patents on it in Florida. Absolutely. So it exists. So I'm going to court. All right. I lose my little battle. So I appeal it, and it goes to the 1st or the 14th Court of Appeals here in Houston. Those are the 2 that are here in Houston. We're the only city that has 2 courts of appeals. So those judges that get elected now have to be experts in patent law. So do you think that they were attorneys that specifically their field of law was patent law and that they got elected in there to sit on that panel of justices to litigate just patent issues? No.
Yeah.
There's some
my
attorney who ran for office and got elected. Now they expect to know every field of
yeah.
law that's out there.
My friend Mike just in the chat, he just wrote some things. Can I read to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
He said, not so much attacking, but if you're going to bring up outdated law like Black's dictionary and get crushed in court, it doesn't lead a viewer to trust that line of argumentation too much. Also, there's a bunch of outright schizos that are really entertaining to watch. And then he says, intellectual property laws all suck and should be abolished.
It's insane. So once you go through that, you're going to have
Mike, I agree.
a three justice panel on the Court of Appeals. Then you're going to take it because it's a patent. It's going to go to the Texas Supreme Court. And that's it. All these are elected officials. So those elected officials, you're bringing your issue there that 2 weeks ago, before they got sworn in and took their oath of office, they didn't know jack shit about patent law. But now they're, adjudicating your $1 trillion patent lawsuit. That's what justice looks like in Texas. So these positions shouldn't be elected positions, because once a justice or a judge gets in there and they get that tenure, they actually get the maturity to understand all the law and how to deal with it. They might get elected out because the tide changed. They went from Republican to Democrat or this or that, or whatever. As opposed to on the federal level, when they appoint a judge, that's a lifetime tenure.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't really, I don't know much about this. So I can't really.
That's just the injustice of the system, how it's created. It's set up to fail right off the bat. It's insane.
I hear a lot of people. I've interviewed a lot of people from different backgrounds. And I know the jailing systems don't necessarily make people better. So, and if every other system, whether it's the health system, the FDA, USDA, I can't say any of those systems are that great. So it would be no surprise that the justice system, which is, I think one of the main roles of the system, is also broken. But also just by the nature of it being man-made law, just by the nature of, this problem I talk about with statism, and also all the complexity. There's too much. I feel like there's just way too much word mumbo jumbo. And then when somebody thinks they kind of got a grip on the words, it turns them into a schizo. So he's saying they're schizos. To some extent, you can't really blame them. It's especially if they get attacked like crazy, it's they're almost curating. The media is almost curating schizos. It's oh, what are these people thinking of me? Oh, okay, wait, I gotta look at this. I gotta look at that. Oh, if I miss this little detail, and if I don't write this properly, I'm gonna be kicked out of court. Every little detail, every little thing. Imagine what goes through their head, how they even sleep at night. It's so for me, it's maybe I'm, I go back to philosophy, and sorry if this is, where I come from, but
no, that's why you're here.
It's my Eastern philosophy kind of comes back. It's not attachment, what happened? What are all these words coming from? I'm learning Chinese. I go to Chinese school every single week, right? And it's a whole way of looking at the world, right? It's a whole different language. And when you learn a different language, it activates different parts of your brain. You start to think a little bit differently too. So I just wanted to mention that because, while we were stuck on language, you start studying other languages and you bring that into the mix, things start to open up more. You realize, wait, the way we do things in English is often sometimes totally backwards in the way they do things in China and Japan, and their customs, their cultures, everything, right? So, for instance, you could say "ma," right, like mom, but you also may say "ma," which means a horse. So you can call your mom a mother, or you can call her a horse. It's the same word in Chinese. Or it can mean you're scolding someone. So it's either your mom or a horse, or you're scolding someone. All three words, all that say "ma." 3 different tones in Chinese.
3 different. Okay, so it's the tonality.
Yes, It's a tone-based system. There's like 4 tones, but even still, some words have the same exact tone, even the same exact character, and have a totally different meaning. So what you think is language, I mean, in the Chinese language goes back very far and it influenced Japanese language and Korean language and many others. And a lot of medicine started there. There's hidden pyramids apparently in China. There's the Great Wall, which apparently hasn't even been mostly discovered. The Chinese government hides a bunch of stuff. The North Korean government hides a bunch of stuff. We don't really know. We think we know. And I try to make it clear that people don't really know what they know. and I try to get clear in philosophy about that. And I'm not trying to sound like an agnostic and you can't really know anything. But what I'm trying to say is that if you want true freedom, you cannot attach to anything. Like, how are you otherwise supposed to attain freedom? If you attach yourself to a method to attain freedom, you're still not free. See, like, now you can say freedom is not free and that there are requirements for our human condition of freedom in relation to slavery when we start making comparisons. But the point is that you are already born free. You say it's born by nature. You say God gave you this freedom. You say it's a right. Well, if that's the case, there's no fighting for it. There's no arguing for it. You can go into philosophy endlessly and debate with people all day. It's already here. So what is there a need for convincing?
You just
I froze. I'm
muted
sorry.
yourself.
It goes back into comparison. I'm sorry. I don't know why it freezes like that. I think my stream has hiccups sometimes on desktop. But I hope we're coming back.
Could be your Wi-Fi. Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. But yeah, basically I was saying in relation to comparison, it causes us to make these assumptions. So like, because one country is less free than another, we assume, okay, we're the most free, so we have to flaunt about our freedom here in America. But it doesn't mean that we are the most free we can be. And we do the same thing with any sense of ego. Ego usually likes to compare. So, I want to judge somebody for doing something I don't like. Usually it's in relation to some comparison. So, and it could even be like, again, other things coming from our own personal life, kind of projecting. But these are things that I want people to know, because I just, when people call themselves a truth fighter or a freedom fighter or anything of the sort, everybody has it in their power to be a freedom fighter, to be a truth fighter. Like, the truth is all around them. And there's no separation between us and the people we're trying to free. In fact, that's how we get to that point of freedom. That's how we get to the point of unity. But we tend to separate ourselves from the very people we want to help. And we may not even realize we're doing that. And then even just by the terminologies and the things that we fall into, we're doing that. So this is kind of like a metaphysical level, right? Or whatever, philosophical. But I'm just trying to get people to see a different perspective, because it's so easy to fall for, like I said, these figureheads. It's so easy to fall to different worldviews, especially because your whole life you've been looking for a convenient worldview to put yourself in because it's comfortable. When I ask somebody to do the uncomfortable, it's not going to be easy.
A lot of people, and I'm going to use the assembly because it's a good analogy, that went through that process, that were movers and shakers, and worked their way up to where they were state coordinators or recording secretaries, and really put in the effort, the time, the sacrifice their money and their energy to make this thing happen, only to get it blown up and get washed out and ridiculed and shamed, talked about, and whatever else that looks like. So now they're over sitting on the sidelines and they really don't want to do anything, and they just, don't care. They've kind of lost that ideation that freedom is attainable for them because of that. Now, how do we get those folks who've kind of been cast out, shunned, belittled, shamed, to just put that aside and step over here and go, hey, you know what? Here's a fresh face, fresh ideas. He's talking, he's not talking about some treaty and act from the 1700s or whatever
It's so
that's
true.
going to set me free.
It's so true.
um, how do we get to those people? Because I've always said that, all the way over to the far, far, far sovereign citizens and the Moors and the American state nationals and nationals, and then the U.S. citizens, U.S. nationals, all the way over here to the conservatives, to the Republican Party, to all the MAGAs, over here to the QAnons, because everybody I just mentioned, they all know the same thing, that
Mm.
there's a straw man, they're monetizing you, you're a slave, you're definitely a wage slave, you're paying taxes and going to work and having to do all of that and mind your manners and all of that. So how do we get these people all together to come together, set aside their little political ideological differences to attain freedom? What's the answer? Do you have it? Do you know it? Is there a pathway?
I think Jim Gale's strategy is a very good pathway.
I love
Um,
them.
yeah, and the reason why is because it is connecting people with nature, which I believe, is the answer. So it's going to be the answer to your question. um, but in a physical sense, which does relate to the mind, I feel like we're wrapped in material, we're wrapped in these ideas, which are often man-made because of our disconnect with nature. So when we connect with nature in a more physical sense, it reflects that of the mind. It's kind of like somatics. If you ever heard of somatic experiencing or somatherapy, when people start to exercise or get in touch more with their body, and again, similar, getting out of the mind, getting out of ego, um, there are
break
new
that break
things.
that down a little bit more for the audience.
Sure. Soma means like body, right? Like movement. And so soma therapy was used actually in Brazil to free prisoners from their own psychological traumas and conditions, and actually increase their strength through the use of martial arts and connection with others. They increased their community to the point where the government actually made it illegal to practice a therapy, because the therapy was actually increasing community resilience and increasing their own confidence to defy authority. But soma and somatics is a term that kind of spans worldwide, and it's been used for a lot of people to treat trauma, because you need to kind of get out of the mind, get more in the body, and when these things have to be in alignment with one another, their mind, body, emotions. So that is important when it comes to freedom. Is if you want to steer the nation, it's less of a debate of the mind and more of the heart, which I think Mahatma Gandhi understood well. It's that you need to really pull people's heartstrings. If we want to create a real revolution, we need to use civil disobedience. We need to put our weapons down and walk the streets or do some sort of act that gets people emotional, that pulls their hearts. We can't come at this with logic and facts. No amount of it will help anybody. Yuri Bezmenov said this, in his interview with G. Edward Griffin, talking, and he was an ex KGB Soviet spy. And he said that no matter how much information you present to the American public, the demoralization has affected people to that extent of which they cannot see in themselves. So there has to be an emotional pull. It's how people got into it too. It wasn't just indoctrination. It was because they felt an emotional tie to the system. And so a lot of people who follow common law stuff, they may be biblical and they use the Bible as their backing for their actions, and they have an emotional tie to what they do. And people who use that emotional tie, like Carl Jung said, can be infinitely more dangerous than people who don't. So the atheist, or the person who relies only on pure reason and facts. That doesn't mean that though what the Bible says is true and that we should follow it. In fact, Carl Jung said it's irrational, but yet he was saying it's useful. So just because something might be untrue or may not be seen in the rational context doesn't mean it's untrue. There's so much nuance, right? It's hard to navigate. People need to center in with nature because it kind of makes things much more simple for people. So you don't have to do all this kind of nuance looking. It kind of comes natural to you. Just like Anastasia, the Ringing Cedars of Russia, that book series, which talks about kind of returning to nature. There's people out there who have no clue of the concepts we're talking about, but yet they live that world or that life that we are talking about needs to happen.
Define living with nature. Define that for people. What that really looks like. Because in their mind's eye, we're like, okay, we're gonna go move in the middle of the forest and pitch a tent and go get our saw and cut down some trees and build a log cabin.
We can live with nature anywhere we're at. Contrary to popular opinion, I would say it's not like you have to go off grid. It's about being aware of what's around you, but to the greater extent to which you are aligned to nature, it is wu-wei, I would argue, based on my reflection, and then again getting out of the mind. So wu-wei refers to effortless action, or more specifically, intelligent inaction, and it's been detailed across Taoist traditions, ancient Chinese, and Zen Buddhism, for instance. And it's basically the idea of, and you can look this up as well, right? Of living with what they call zhiran, which is nature in the Chinese, which means self-so, which is that nature just is, it kind of just exists, it's spontaneous. And when you work with a spontaneity, things basically appear by themselves, things work by themselves. There is less effort involved because you're working intelligently with it. So again, there's less need of debate, less need of philosophy, less need of knowledge, more need, you can say, of getting beyond knowledge, of getting beyond programming or cultures and conditions that prevent you from your base condition, which they would call the uncarved block. That uncarved block is, and there's different terms for that too, but the uncarved block is basically your natural state, your most natural state. So that is what you want to achieve with wu-wei, which is effortlessness. Now, how you get to that point? Well, it does require getting out of the mind, getting more in touch with the emotions. I can't say I am 100% natural or live in a natural environment. I certainly don't. But the awareness of it is a key part of moving in that direction, and then willingly taking the risks of knowing and taking responsibility of your own life. If this goes back to Stoicism, Stoicism is often like the main idea is we need to live in harmony with nature. Very similar to Taoism, except it's considered a Western philosophy. So how do you return to nature, right? The Stoics have their own terms for it, but it's basically the same idea. Like there's always risks involved, there's always problems. It's about facing reality, not running away from it. So accepting those problems. And oftentimes as humans, we want to fix those problems. We feel there's an internal need to have to solve it, to write it all down. So it's more about abandoning your fixations, the attachments, and letting things flow, letting things be. And that's not necessarily an easy thing. Just like letting things be is a very difficult thing. Even I struggle with it. I mean, try meditating and just breathing, and not letting any thoughts come to mind, or at least if they do, just recognize they're there, observe them, and don't let them take you over and have you like move and like, I got to do something. It is very difficult because all these interceptors are keeping you away from just being present, being in the moment, which is the only real thing you got here. And meanwhile, we're living in an illusion of thought of past and future, which hasn't happened yet, or has happened, and now it's giving us anxiety or depression, right? So that's what I'm trying to get at when I say harmony with nature. I know I portray that through different means, is trying to live most effortlessly. That's like the sign you're doing it right. So think of it like your body, right? If you are healthy, everything works. Your heart beats, your lung breathes. You don't think, it doesn't think about it, it just does it. It just works. Like there's no need to talk about medicine. There's no need to create a new drug. There's no need to even think about what medicines to use or even what foods to consume. You're doing everything right. It's so natural. It's second nature, as I would call it. So second nature is just like another way of saying it's kind of wu-wei. It's part of your life. It's integrated within. It is so natural to you. Now here's the issue though. We've made the unnatural natural, as though like we have governments and they're so part of our life we can't get rid of them. But because they keep crashing down, because they keep having chaos, it's like nature telling us through her laws we're doing something wrong. And unless we learn that lesson, we're always going to be putting in unnecessary amounts of effort. So the goal is to become effortless in the good, which means that there are no wrong effects that are happening in the aggregate scale. Like, we have to learn that through time. Time is going to teach us all truth. Time is going to heal all wounds. And this is also how I formulated naturosophy, which is my philosophy that details what is natural and what is not, based
Repeat
on
that
your
again.
question.
Did you say
Nature,
naturosophy?
naturosophy, yes. So that answers your specific question. And I just kind of gave an overview of what it is.
Okay. That of course you coined that term.
Why? I mean, it's like, why not, right?
Naturopathy.
Why not, right? But again, not attached to identity. Now, the reason why I created a whole thing that is separate from philosophy is because modern day philosophy denies outright any connection between morality and what is natural. They deny that connection completely. They
Really?
call it a fallacy. It's called the appeal to nature fallacy. They say you cannot say what is natural is what is good. And they also call it the naturalistic fallacy. So because of that, I have a total disdain for philosophy and just create my own.
Yes, you do.
And it really is that simple. And why it's important, because AI technology, we're moving to a world people don't know who they are and what is natural, and that is more important. And time is going to show that again and again, that that's important. And so all the philosophers can ignore it. They can say it's a fallacy all they want, but the reality is that people are born into nature. Nature is within them. It is inescapable. As you can say, God is within them, and you cannot take away that connection, no matter how hard you try. So I'm arguing that you cannot get rid of these terms good or bad or natural and unnatural. Now, of course, duality is a whole separate conversation, but the point is that these exist and they serve as tools for humanity that can be very helpful. Although, to a great extent, when you transcend them, it becomes effortless, and then you don't need them anymore.
Describe some steps people would need to take to get back in harmony with nature from their certain, just say that they're
Yeah.
city dweller tied up,
Mhm.
9 to 5 apartment, the whole 9 yards.
I have actually 3 specific steps, actually, based on my philosophy. So the first one is taking a step back. Here, I'm actually going to pull this up from my one book to get more specific. But one is taking a step back. 2 is compensation. And then 3 is radical honesty. I actually came across a text recently from Ralph Waldo Emerson, which literally is titled Compensation. And I feel like I'm just like kind of catching up to some of these other writers in the past who have wrote about this far better than I have ever or will ever possibly write about it. But there have been people out there who've wrote about it, right? So the transcendentalists, right? The Stoics and the Taoists. I usually credit these guys, but there's many others. Like I gave the example of Anastasia, right? And that created a whole revolution in Russia, by the way, of people who are freedom fighters, who are growing food, who have their own methods. I mean, and crazy, amazing stuff. If you're unfamiliar with the Anastasia book series, I've had that thing linked to me so many times as a method that can as a way of looking at the world that can help you see what is like, where is our detachment from nature. Anyways, let's see here if I have it here in the book. It might be one of my other books. I actually it could be. I don't know which book it's in. But I have a summary of it, and that's why I kind of want to give it to you. Oh, I think
What do you think is the root cause?
the root cause of what, the issue or the
People getting
solution?
away from nature.
The root cause of people getting away from nature. I'm sorry, I'm stuck on the 3 steps for a second. The root cause of getting away from nature, I usually attribute it to ignorance. Uh, Mike, you're talking to yourself in the chat. He's like talking across two different platforms. I attribute it to ignorance, but mainly. So, like Socrates says, the only good is knowledge. The only evil is ignorance. So, ignorance usually I highlight as that evil. But again, so here's the issue: evil is an illusion. It doesn't exist. It could only take from what does exist and try to pervert it, and it's an attempt. So it doesn't actually exist. that's the tricky part about evil. And this is going to cause some issues again with Christian or Western worldviews to have a very strict, like, there is a right, there is a wrong. But if they don't understand the Eastern perspective, they're not denying there's a right and wrong. They're simply looking at it differently. So I'm saying that evil takes place in this illusion of we think we know things and we don't, or we get attached to certain things. You can say in Buddhism, like the number one sin is desire, right? For that reason. So you go through all the traditions, they all have very powerful teachings, right? They all have amazing moral teachings. And because I'm equating nature with morality, those religions often have a very powerful insight into the nature of things, which is why they do talk about the nature of things. They're literally talking about the origins of mankind, where mankind comes from. That has a lot to do with nature and getting back to nature. Like, what are we getting back to? The Garden of Eden, to Jesus, to what are we getting back to, right? So I think that poses itself as a question in a way. And so does that answer your question? Is like, what is the problem? I do believe it is ignorance, but that's because illusion does that. It keeps us away from what is real. So we're in ignorance. Whether it's nescience or ignorance, they're technically the same thing. So nescience would be the knowledge is not there to begin with. Ignorance is the knowledge is there. You're just choosing not to look at it. Well, in both cases, the knowledge isn't there. In both cases, it's not present. Well, because evil is an illusion, the knowledge is there. I would argue it's just ignorance. It's a different perspective, and I believe that perhaps our mushrooms and all the things that we did in our past as human species, looking at the stars at night, looking at the fire, being in tune with the natural rhythms, would help us see more of that. Being out of tune with those rhythms is going to be harder to see that. Um, and so the physical helps us reach kind of the metaphysical when we are in tune with the physical that is most natural, the physical that is always here for us. But as we delved in from the physical that always existed into creating new things, like taking a tree and turning it into paper, and taking a bunch of parts and turning it into a computer, it's gotten more convoluted in its own illusion. So you think this again is natural, you think this is reality. Meanwhile, it's just within reality. And if you don't see beyond it, you're unconscious of it, you're ignorant. So that, I say, is the problem. It within itself is not a problem because it's a product of nature, right? This tech is a product of nature. I was just talking about the pancake debate. My friend, he says a pancake is natural. I say the pancake is unnatural. But the reason why is because it's like, did you see what is beyond it? Do you see what it consists of? Do you see what it does to you? And you would not ask those questions. You would not ask those questions unless you have an open mind, a perspective that wants to learn. So, like, you would say God is all knowing, right? All powerful, all consciousness. So what would you want to do if you want to connect with God? You would want to try to be all knowing, all powerful in a way yourself. You would want to be one with him in a great way. So you're going to try to know everything in your environment to the greatest ability that you have to become most natural or most aligned to him. So that's maybe another way of looking at it, if that helps.
In Texas, the school curriculum for children is determined by the Texas Board of Education. So they determine, basically what they do is put out the criteria to these different textbook publishers and say, this is the frame of what we want. They send them a selection of textbooks. We'll just use Texas history. And they'll go, we don't like this chapter in here. We don't want this topic in here.
Yeah.
They'll edit it out. And they've done that with slavery, several really sensitive topics. They've just edited out of the education system in Texas schools. That's
There's probably
probably
ancient history that is kept from us,
that.
without a doubt.
Obviously, yeah.
Archaeology has been, anthropology and archaeology, two things that have been intriguing me a lot. So, but if you go in
Yeah.
the past, you're still like, I like to rely on, like, when I speak to you, I'm not relying on the past for what I say to be true. I want to make that kind of clear to people. Because if I were, then I'd be relying on things I don't know necessarily are true or not. like I believe people can understand God without the Bible. They can understand nature without any interpreter. I believe they can reach that connection themselves. So that, that's me. I'm a deist. I'm.
Right.
It's like
So,
Thomas Paine or some of the founding fathers. They were deists too.
right. And I'm sure you would advocate homeschooling over public schooling.
Absolutely.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So obviously that would be the first disconnect between I'll just use American population, American
Sure.
school children
I'd say it's
to get
birth,
them because
birth process.
there's a barrier automatically at the education level.
C-section versus vaginal birth. First step. But even before that, baby's in the womb, right? Like,
Right.
so, like how far back do you want to go? So like where does it begin? Begins like long, long, long ago, your genetics, and then how are you interacting with those genetics? So, but like the birth section is super important. You look at the health of people. I'd say health is a perfect indicator of if you are working with nature or not,
Mhm.
because it's like your body literally telling you what to do and what not to do, and
Right.
it's showing you signs.
All right. Now, the U.S. Department of Education is clearly being abolished.
Hmm.
So there's going to be really no federal guideline. So we have 50 states, multiple U.S. territories. Now the education system is going to fall upon the states to determine. So
Hmm.
obviously, the education is not going to be uniform across the board.
Mm.
The standards for Louisiana may be different from Texas, Mississippi, et cetera, for whatever language of, or whatever math acumen, English acumen, science, et cetera, et cetera. So the workforce or even college entry, because there's no uniform standard across the elementary, middle school, and high school levels for that education platform, that they may be a little bit deficient coming in on the workforce level or into vocational trade schooling or into the college level university.
Yes.
So that should be on the agenda too, as one of the issues that, it has to be addressed, it has to be changed. And my whole deal is the entire education system should be scrapped because it's garbage what we're teaching kids, because we're trying to educate them to a curriculum as opposed to how to live life.
Hmm.
Because I'm with you, we should be
Hmm.
teaching kids how to hunt, how to fish,
Yeah,
permaculture.
I still don't know all those things. It's like I'm having to catch up.
Exactly. And then when people become an adult, then they learn about there's a whole thing going on in this background that we don't know about. They're keeping from us.
Hmm.
So now you got to go get educated in all this law and treaties and statutes and codes and get you a Black's Law dictionary and a Burton's
Hmm.
thesaurus and the UCC manual, and
Yes.
you're off and running. You think. So now you got to go get you a Juris Doctorate.
Yeah.
Because you think that's the
Until
way.
though, the crazy thing is then, when you're on your deathbed and you realize all that kind of maybe didn't matter, even some of the pursuit of the so-called truth, because at the end of the day, it's about living life, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's about living life. Wake up with a clear conscience that
Hmm.
you did what you were supposed to do the day before, and
Yes.
now that
Purpose.
yeah, exactly.
I
And
did find the part, by the way, in my book. If you want me to go over those 3 steps, it's up to you.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And
But
before you start,
sure.
um, I was delayed a little bit because I took a phone call from one of my viewers. We've been corresponding, back and forth for a hot minute now, and I've hooked him up with some of my contacts, and he really needed some help with an issue, so I hooked him up with one of my guys, and he called me and he's like, "Man, thank you."
Hmm.
I'm like, "For what?" Yeah, for hooking me up with this guy, because this guy really just, you know, he's a good guy. honest, trustworthy, going to give you what you pay for,
Yeah.
and then some, obviously, because I got a call saying thank you. It was worth every penny, and you just don't get that in this community where you can do things for other people and hook people up with other people, and things happen, and to where
Thank you.
you get that phone call back. So that's all I'm looking for every day, is just get that phone call. Somebody can say, hey man, I watched your video, thank you
Yeah.
for what you did. Or I get an email.
I love
And
that too.
yeah, and Cory and I both, we don't, get tens of thousands of viewers and, all the accolades and get invited to speak at conferences.
Yeah, right. I'm too controversial. That's probably why. No, I was kidding. They don't know who I am. You're right. But we're working on it.
Right. But you're a fresh voice, you're a young voice, and you come at this from there's nobody out there. I'll go here. Let me go pull up Charlie Ward's
Hey,
stuff.
there's always people out there. You never know. The silent ones know more than the people who are always most spoken.
Yeah, I'll definitely
I was
agree.
silent for such a long time. That's why I'm now here speaking as I do.
All right, this is a conference that Cory and we're going to try to attend.
Leaked. Someone buy me tickets. Just kidding.
Right. They're $1,800 a pop.
Yeah, I kind of need help with that.
These are the
Fundraiser
speakers for this event.
24-hour stream fundraiser.
Right? Yeah, exactly. We'll dance for tickets.
Yeah, right. What could I do, guys?
Yeah, some of these people, I have no idea who they are. I've never heard of them. They may be good people. They may be reliable. I don't know. But
Why are they
obviously,
in blue? Those ladies are in blue. What's going on there?
they probably stole this off of a
They
video
took
or
methylene
something.
blue. Too
Yeah.
much methylene blue. That's what happened.
Right.
That stuff apparently actually turns your brain and heart blue, and I've already seen some problems with it. Like, I'm not surprised. People jump on the trend so quickly. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane how quickly they do.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know most of these people.
I know you don't. But some of them I definitely want to go.
Where do these people come from? What circle am I not in?
I like I said, I don't know who most of them are either.
Crazy.
This is Mark Z's son, Zester. I know him personally. And then on this row, I think I've heard of Tom Renz. Definitely, we know
Yes, I know Tom
Shaw's.
Renz.
Okay.
He's cool.
Patrick
I love his
Byrne.
stuff.
I believe he owned a big corporation. I have no idea who this girl is. Obviously, we know who Scott McKay is. I don't know who Sam Sorbo is. She may be related to Kevin Sorbo. Sheila
Hey,
Holm.
Jeff, Conspiratary. Just talking to people in your chat.
Oh, okay.
Some project. I like to interact with people.
Paula Woodley, Paul Brooker, Ola,
Matt W.
Nishiwat Hiawatma. Golly, what a name there. I don't know who she is. I don't know who Mandy
That's
is.
awesome. Cool name.
Heard of Melissa Redpill. Lee Dundas. No. I've heard of Laura Alboli. I've never heard of this Lindsey Graham. But I vote for that Lindsey Graham.
Too much makeup. I'm sorry. Lower down the makeup, ladies.
Obviously, Laura Brunson. Mark Z, my buddy. I don't know who Lena is. I don't know who Caitlin Croker is or Christy Clark. Jason.
That's an awesome photo. Lena knows what's up. That's a cool photo.
This one? You know her?
Yeah. No, I just like the photo.
Oh, yeah, right. She's really having a good
the
time.
dog. That's perfect.
Yeah, Gene Decode. I don't know who X is.
So the dog gets invited, but not me. That's how it works.
I guess so, man. See how low we are on the totem pole?
Jeez,
here's George Lewis, Jimmy Levy, Josh Reed, have no idea who they are. Drew Demme, no. Brian Artis, I don't know. Yeah. Obviously, I know who Derek Johnson is. I blew his commander-in-chief theory out of the water. Been on David's show twice.
I want to connect with David. That'd be pretty cool. I know
Yeah,
Jim knows him too.
he was posting links where you could pop in his show and talk, and
I miss it every time.
yeah, I don't think he's doing it anymore for some reason. I think somebody got on there and got him a strike, maybe, or something. I don't know, but I don't know who Pierre Kobe is or Corey. I definitely know who Jan Halper Hayes is. Mikovits, yes. Tenpenny,
Yep.
yes. I don't know who Randy
Yep.
Shannon is. Don't know Christy. Chella Smith, I think, covers the RV stuff. And I believe she's just a parrot. Chas Carter, don't Braden Sorbo. He might be Kevin Sorbo's kid. I don't know.
Yeah, he looks pretty young.
Yeah, real young. Could be his grandkid. Who knows? Nephew, maybe. Ben Barlow, Charlie Ward,
Maybe I
Dan
can
Vanderstill.
try to connect with these guys. Try to reach out.
Well, you know somebody on here personally, right? That you can call.
I don't know
Anybody?
anyone on there
You don't
personally.
know
I don't
anyone?
think.
Okay,
No.
I do.
I'm not. I don't think that connected. I
Well,
should be more
you know,
connected.
well, it is what it is, and believe me, this is a closed community.
I mean, it seemed like that for a long time. When I was researching at a young age, I was like, it's impossible to get in touch with Mike Adams. It's impossible to get and now I'm in touch with them, which is, for me still kind of mind blowing. But I didn't, I thought it was like impossible. I was like, how would you get in touch with them? It's like, there was no way. They didn't read comments. They don't have comment sections on their stuff. I'm like, I felt like there was just like a disconnect, even with like, mainstream independent media. What David Icke calls MAM, mainstream alternative media. It's like there's just no interaction. And I talked to David Icke, and he was easy to contact, but like I thought he would also be impossible. It's like,
He's a media whore. He'll go on anybody's show to talk.
yeah, which is nice of him to do that.
He sacrificed his life. I got to give him that. I discovered somebody gave me his book, The Biggest Secret in Prison, which is a banned book in Texas prison.
Oh wow.
Yeah, which was surprising because I found two of his other books in actually the prison library.
Yeah. So I
Uh,
mean, I have this here if you want, I could read it, but it
yeah,
just
read
says
it.
yeah. So the 3 steps that I have, it's like an interconnected core teaching within naturosophy. It says taking a step back or reflection, just another way of saying it. It means going back to nature or committing to a return to nature, and it implies that we step back before stepping forward, that we recognize the world before and beyond us. So we act from like the Taoist teachings of the still point and the uncarved block. We give time to the given nature as opposed to the man-made society, right? So like maybe I take a walk in nature, or I really sit back and think about what I'm going to do before I do it. Really is as simple as it says, being able to learn from the past and ever present for the future. That's step 1, right? Step 2 is, and these are 3 ones, they don't go in a certain order, but the principle of radical honesty, which I have a short book I wrote about this within itself. But it says, if you seek the most natural reality, you must fulfill the natural in yourself, which is to apply honesty in every aspect of your life. As 4 interrelated parts, one must learn to always be honest, ask questions for honesty, allow honesty, and seek the honest. And then finally, compensation or balance and harmony. So, for what may be deemed as enantiodromia, it's like a fancy term that Carl Jung used to represent this interchangeability between yin and yang, or the shift from yin and yang, or yang to yin. Compensation, furthermore, refers to being able to coexist among a man made society or with man made things, right? So, you can be in society, but not of society. Right. Whereas maybe some Taoist teachings of the past thought of like Lao Tzu, the teacher, as though he was like a hermit who escaped society and thought, oh, the only way to live naturally is to be just leave society. Well, Chuangzi said, no, we can live in society, but not of society. Right. So that's what this is referring to. It is utilizing Wu Wei, ensuring that for what man made things do exist, their effects are natural or compensated by that which is natural. So, say I am taking a man made drug, or I am doing something I know is something not the most natural. I kind of compensate it by something that is natural, or I'm aware of it. And that is like, taking willing risks. It's knowing what you're doing. It's making sure that, let's say you are drinking alcohol, you may think, oh, I probably shouldn't be doing that. You're using it in moderation, or you are going to do some sort of cleanse or something to kind of help yourself, so that way that thing does not affect you to an unnatural extent. So those 3 steps in total, in my view, encapsulate the philosophy of naturosophy very simply. So anyways, that's that.
Okay, now I'm going to blow some minds. How many books have you written?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Technically 8, but
8 books. And now I want you to hold them up one by one, and I want you to
okay.
promote your books, because we're going to get you some money to get you over to Charlie Ward's conference.
Well, I don't know about that. Amazon, takes a cut. I mean, like I told you, I'm self-published. I try to, do things as best as I can. But this is my least talked about book, The Art of Diet. Least talked about. And the reason why is because I plan on doing some stuff in the future with it. It's very creative. I started at a very young age because of how creative it is. So that's my least talked about book. It is a health-based book. I don't focus as much on diet and nutrition on my channels anymore,
What's it
as much
about?
as I used to. Diet, nutrition, specifically, weight loss, general health and maintenance. The information on this is very heavy. This is
That's
about 600 pages, and the text can sometimes be very, very tiny. And there's different levels and chapters. So there's levels basically to level up your health. So each chapter has a different section in regards to your health, and you do certain quests to level up, just like in World of Warcraft or in Lord of the Rings. It's inspired off of those video games I played in my youth, and I applied that to nutrition and health because somebody wants to take a journey in their health, right? It's the same thing. So I made it as an actual figurative journey. You choose your race, your class, like you're creating a character in a video game, and then you simulate yourself creating a character by basically leveling up and going through the journey of becoming healthier. And it takes a long time, right? It's not like a diet. I make that clear in the beginning. It's not like it takes 30 days or a certain amount of time. It takes years. So this whole book takes you about 6 months to a year based on the framework you choose in the book to go by. It's a very complicated system with its own terminology, its own charts, own everything, which is why I have not done a lot with it. There's a lot of potential with it for somebody to take it up and go crazy with it, probably make a whole channel on it indefinitely. It's like a Bible. But I'm not, it's not my focus at the moment. So,
we need to get the ShamWow guy.
so I mean, that's that. Now, part of my Naturosophy series is 4 books at the moment. There's a 5th
And,
one not released yet.
and how old are you, Cory? And how many books do you have published?
Listen, it's just passion. And it's like 8 or whatever. Okay. Anyways,
I'm trying to motivate the audience, get them like you motivated me. Okay. The reason I have a book sitting over here with my name on it and it's a physical book is because of you. Because of you. You gave me the incentive and the motivation to become a published author. And that's what drives me to publish more books. And eventually I'm going to write one on my own. You glitched again.
sorry.
There you are. No
Yep.
big deal.
I'm back. Do you hear me?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
You're fine. So
Well,
thank you
anyways,
for that.
yeah. I'm sorry. I freeze out once in a while. I don't know why, but yeah, I have my one on honesty. It's a very short book. I felt inspired to write, and same thing with this one. I'm very blunt and very honest in relation to that, which is just government is unnatural, anarchy is natural, which is built on the premises that government is replacing the function of God, and AI similarly. But those are very blunt, honest, to the point books. They're kind of more like pamphlets back in the day, right? So, but these are like the bigger texts of naturosophy. I recommend the white one over anything else because it's more used as a curriculum. The whole thing is questions, by the way. It's based on a Socratic method of teaching. So it's all questions. It's meant to be used as a guide for curriculums. I actually made it so I can demonstrate it potentially one day. I've got a whiteboard. If I have a classroom, I actually would like to be more of a teacher in a sense, and demonstrate that ability. And then I would use this book to kind of guide a curriculum based around asking questions about nature. But that's what it's for. This book, I mean, it was just inspired in the moment. It's not going to be up everybody's alley. This whole philosophy is not going to be up everybody's alley until I think they understand some of the precepts that I have, and ask themselves questions. It's meant to be more of an internal reflection mechanism. So I don't consider those as books that I advertise that much, but I have them. This is My Slavery Gone for Good book. I obviously advertise this a lot, right? I think it's for everybody. It is a rendition, by the way, of an older book I wrote, which is the original version, but it's a bigger version. It's a more detailed version. It's categorized better, worded better. So I just advertise this one from now on. But the older version is still available. If people want a short, slim version of it, basically that's what it is, but with a lot less context. I expanded on it so much. And then this is the book I wrote with Jim Gale, right? So this I consider also very good to share with people. Very beginner friendly. These two are my most beginner friendly books. Slavery is a heavy topic. It's not going to be up everybody's alley until they're ready for it. If they're a big truth hitter and they like history, then that's their gist. But for the average person, these two are going to be better, because this one's more like a self-help book, and this one's more about like we can change the world, and you can change your yard, and you can grow food. So that's the lineup basically. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I just went over 8. So, and then there's 9 technically with the rendition. So, and then there's going to be a couple more stuff coming soon. So,
and there were multiple authors on the book that you wrote with Jim, correct?
Yes. Well, it's mostly just Jim and I, but they contributed to the end of it basically by adding their story. So I reached out to them for their story, and so their stories in it.
Who are
We
they?
made this very slim on purpose, so that way it's easy for people to read.
Right.
McKinley Halati, Kevin Fretz, Joel Salatin, Pat Miletich, Marjorie Wildcraft, and Riley Mayer. So you might know some of them, famous authors and speakers, actually. Yeah, thank you for asking, because people would probably be curious. Pat is actually UFC world champion.
Exactly. Yeah, you reached out to him, and he was gracious enough to get back with you, right?
Dude, he's a great dude. Yeah, I went out to dinner with him and everything. He's awesome.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you say we a lot, and I don't know if
my dad and I went out to dinner with him.
Okay. So are you an only child?
No. Okay. I have a sister. She's 4 years older than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does she do?
She's into everything I'm into. In fact, she went to nutrition school with me. She can speak on all this stuff. She's got a great personality. She started doing stuff. She'd be viral probably because she's like a model, basically.
Yeah. But you're a good-looking kid. I would imagine you'd have a good-looking sister.
Thank you. But yeah, I mean, right now she's just focused on other things. Yeah, pretty much. I don't want to go into, I guess, what she does unless you want.
Yeah, that's fine. Because you always say we, and you were talking about taking your family with you. So
that was my dad in that case. Yeah, but I did go to Galt's Landing, and then I met Pat there, and then we hung out, and then we went out and ate. So, yeah.
Okay.
Wow. I had sushi. I eat Asian food everywhere I go. I pretty much don't go anywhere else.
You do what?
I eat Asian food everywhere.
Oh, okay.
Like, I'm basically Asian at this point. Like, I go to a Chinese school. I do kung fu. I do tai chi. Chinese medicine. I'm Asian. So I identify as Asian. I'm just kidding.
Eastern. So you have more of an Eastern philosophy than Western philosophy.
Oh, without a doubt. I think it's more nature focused. If we're objectively speaking about it, but there's obviously great value in Western teachings too, like Western. It's technically Eastern too. Catholicism and Christianity, the roots of it is actually so rich and so deep. It's a beautiful thing. Not the Crusades part of it, not the, let's go to war for our beliefs part of it, not the really kind of atrocious things I see in the Bible part of it. I can't really read the Bible personally. I'm not a huge fan. But I'm not going to say one day I won't be open to its teachings. I simply think it's not phrased how I would like it from a nature point of view. The Tao Te Ching appealed to me because it came at things from a very self-aware position right off the bat. The first chapter says that the Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao. And then it says later on that the Tao is nameless. To me, this is a profound understanding of the universe beyond like identity, which I think Christians lose, and which is why I think they get so stuck on what they think they know, and they feel like they have to convince the whole world, because it isn't as much emphasized in Western teachings identity and attachment and desire. Now, it is within the teachings. Like Jesus' stuff is amazing, and he probably was a man who walked the earth and probably got targeted by the government like everybody else. But it's hard to know. It's 2,000 years ago. And as it is, I don't even understand history 200 years ago, let alone 100 years ago, right? Let alone what happened a couple years ago, right? How many people don't know that history? It is very, very easy to get things mixed up. So I really can't say what's historically true regarding biblical stuff, religion. But it's a beautiful thing. Regardless, it's the teachings. And also, I don't like when people bash Catholics so much. Okay, listen, the Catholic Church had a lot of amazing people within it. At least, if you study some stuff like Thomas Aquinas, I mean, that stuff is textual. That stuff is amazing. That's like he's a doctor. It's science. Look at Hildegard de Bingen. She did medicine and hymns. That's beautiful stuff. So, anyways. That's what I think, and you can share your thoughts.
Well, your breadth of knowledge and the way you're able to reference these people I've never heard of, that just wasn't my ilk in far as my education. If I wouldn't have been in prison, who knows if I would have still taken the same path.
There's people who know a lot more than me, to be clear.
Yeah, I'm sure there
a lot more. I mean, I've only delved a little bit into the he said, she said events and people, but I'm only coming across people like Osho and Taoism. Like, it just comes along my journey. I'm not like actively seeking, what's the next occult text I got to read? Because again, as a nature-centric person, I'm not like reading text all day. I'm not like, I mean, I have for some of my books, but that's only because it came upon me as a moral obligation, because it wasn't being produced. But even then, I'm willing to cast away my books and say that this is not wisdom. The books are limited by the nature of their existence. So I have to denounce my own work if I truly if I understand their teachings. Well, like, because right, I can't be attached to my own work. I mean, otherwise I would be attached.
I get you have my brain going in a circle there, and then you just stop. You're like, what? Okay.
It's nuanced. It's all about opposites, my friend.
Right.
Do I know Jason Circa? Yeah, I know about him. I actually met some people. I run into people who do stuff with him, which is interesting. I got to connect more with some of these groups. I don't know how, but it's like I could write emails all day, and it's not going to necessarily help. Unfortunately, most of my emails just don't get read, even if they're like personal letters to people. I need help from you guys, the audience, to be honest.
Well, I used to. I don't. Thank God I don't anymore.
It's hard.
Wake up to 200-300 emails every day. And then people want to write you books about their, horrific experience they had.
I read everything, but yeah, I just had to skim through it.
It got to where it was just overwhelming, absorbing all this negativity of other people's baggage, first thing in the morning.
I'm sure you hear a lot of stories.
Thank God I don't get those anymore. Occasionally I do. But if you're, and like you're like me, you want to keep a small audience. You don't want to go viral and get bombarded where you can't give that personal one-on-one service to a viewer or subscriber who calls you on the phone and like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm talking to you. I'm like, why? I'm just I'm just like you. I'm a normal person. Nothing
Right.
real special about me. I've just had more life experience.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, you have a certain way of speaking, you have a platform, and some people, I don't know. I get nervous too, and I still talk to Mike. I'm like, because I followed him for such a long time. But you're right. They're just people like us, without a doubt.
Yeah, sometimes it is hard to get unstarstruck when you're around specific people.
You bring me around
Um,
all these other health freedom people, my heart is like, I'm gonna feel so much energy coming to me. You thought I was crazy on that Lewis Screw Big Government podcast? I'll go like 10 times harder on stage. You put me in front of a crowd, I'm gonna I'm gonna go crazy.
I tell you what, why don't you do a demo reel or something? Just give me like a 3 5 minute elevator, Cory, and just
It's tough.
I know. Try to make it short as possible so I can send this as an
Yeah, yeah.
introduction to people. Say, hey, look, I wouldn't send you this unless I thought that you deserve to see this man.
I understand. I know.
Because I don't do that. I don't hook people up with other people anymore. Just you know, just because I can.
It's just the
I
hard
put
part
people
is forcing
together
it.
for a purpose.
The hard part is just doing it on the spot because you get passionate, you get kind of in that momentum. But
Well, if you
like when
want, give me some bullet points, and I'll be over here anonymously giving them to you, and you just shed through them. Just like you're doing a regular
if you
conversation.
want me to record something, I'll record something for you anytime.
That would be ideal. That I could send somebody and say, hey, watch this 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Do yourself
I've
a
recorded
favor.
some stuff like that. I mean, I might have something already,
Yeah, I know.
probably. But
Yep.
yeah, it's been nice talking with you and everything. It's been good stuff. What time is it? 7. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I want to keep this under 2 hours so I can put it through the StreamYard and it'll create the shorts for me.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's why I like StreamYard because you can download the text as we talked about, but you go over to YouTube and use theirs. But with StreamYard, it's a new feature that they have with their AI. Once you do the video and it publishes it, you can generate shorts and it generates them for you. And then some of them, it'll allow you to automatically hit a button and it'll publish it to Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn. I think are all of them. So yeah, shoots it right over there. Or you can download them and then upload them yourself as shorts.
Yeah.
So definitely.
Well, I hope I explained everything that you want me to explain, and I didn't sound confusing or anything. I appreciate talking with you always.
Yeah, you have a permaculture project, right, in Florida that you're doing with other people. Tell us about that before you go.
Bigfoot Food Forest.
Bigfoot Food Forest. Is there a website? Can somebody come check it out?
No website, but could one day possibly. Just look up Bigfoot Food Forest, Florida, or theliberator.us, and I have a page/project. But basically, just stay tuned on my YouTube, and I give updates all the time. I do videos, fun stuff. Hey, Evolving Seeds, what's up? Greetings, all. Thank you. You're awesome. Yeah, Evolving Seeds, in fact, is one of the contributors to our newspaper. And anyone who wants to get involved, local to Tampa, Florida, you're welcome.
Oh, I've got a guy in Tampa, Florida who rents kayaks.
I'm ready.
He stayed here in my house before.
I'm ready. I'll go kayaking. I'll stream it.
Yeah. I've been wanting to come to Florida, but there's just been things popping in the way.
If you do, definitely let me know.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely let you're one of the first ones. There's a handful of you guys over in Florida that I definitely want to go hang out with and see. Yeah. Definitely Jim. Go check out his spread. And he promised to take me fishing on his lake. Have you been to his property yet?
Oh yeah, many times.
Okay.
Great stuff. Yeah.
Have you fished?
Yes, actually. I did fish there. First time fishing ever, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Obviously you caught something because you said
I did good.
Oh, yeah.
I did good. I mean, I actually enjoyed fishing quite a lot. Yes. And but the funny thing is, I posted a short with Jim fishing with his daughter, and I had a bunch of vegans getting mad at me. There's
Oh,
vegans in Mark Passio's community, and they get like super angry, even though it's just a fishing video. I'm like, are you serious?
right. Well, you ate the fish.
Well,
Surprised they
maybe.
didn't report you to PETA.
I eat it raw too. I mean, hey, I could do it on camera if it makes them more happy.
Oh
Um,
no! But you killed the fish.
well, it is what it is. If they see this live stream, hello, give me free views.
Right. So let's get back to your place.
Yeah. Well, someone in the
How big
chat
is
said.
it?
Someone said YouTube under Cory Endrulat. Yeah, it's Cory. Nature is the answer. Just so you know.
Mhm.
My place, like where I live. Oh, frozen. Oh, we're good.
No. The Bigfoot forest.
Oh,
How big
Bigfoot
is
food
it?
forest.
I mean, how many acres? Is it 1 acre, 2 acres?
Yeah, it's 5 acres, and we're using the front 2 acres mainly. So yeah, Nita.1, the liberator.us. All my links are on the screen right below my name. You see? So if I'm on every platform, and yeah, it's a project that's definitely you want to stay tuned to. And if you have seeds, you have anything you want to contribute to our project, feel free. We're willing to take anything. We actually got whole designs to share in our next event that's coming up real soon, actually. So I got to advertise like today.
What's real soon? Next month?
No, like every Saturday we kind of look at an event on the land.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. To pull people in to educate them, teach them about permaculture.
To grow food, to get together, do potlucks, bonfire, everything.
Oh, bonfires! Now you're talking. Oh, yeah.
I swear it's not a cult. But hey, it could be a good one. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
But no, we just hang out, and actually a lot of moms go there, and we're setting up like schools and stuff. So pretty cool. We'll see where things lead.
Yeah, I can't wait to come to Florida. I'm gonna have a blast.
Yeah, definitely. I'll have you speak. You'll be a featured speaker.
Okay. Well, I have to block out some time. That's been my difficulty because when I got back on the roster after I got back from Puerto Rico to go work, because I'm a rigger, I'm like in demand big time. I've turned down work this week, believe it or not, from Houston and Austin.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what it's all about, is me working around my schedule, but we'll get it done. We'll also work on Charlie Ward's deal in that. I'll call Mark.
Okay.
He's actually live right now.
And let me know what I can do. If I have to make anything, whatever, just keep in touch, please.
Even if you just go, meet these people and, they hear you talk and like, oh, hey, maybe, we should have him on our show, and, it'll lead to progression. So we'll see what we can do. And also hook up with Ed. So don't forget to look for that little clip, 3-minute, 4-minute, 5-minute clip. Yeah, I'll hook you up. I ain't got a problem with that.
Ed would be an awesome connection for our health team. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and
I could probably put your show under one of our friends. We have a section on the website, Health Revealed, where it says our friends. And I could put Fearless Floyd's show under that if you're okay with that.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get together.
Cory, you're on the top.
Hey, I'm very grateful for your existence, for one. And I got to talk to Cory's mom today, and I heard a woman in the background. It's like, are you really his mom? And because I've always said that, his parents, they did a superlative job on raising you and educating you, give you a great moral compass.
Sure.
I'm sure your sister's probably identical to you.
Yeah.
And definitely want to meet your entire family. Give your parents a hug and thank them genuinely from my heart and soul that you're a blessing for humanity. And all you out there watching, you're watching a rising star. And it's not me.
Oh my goodness. No, you're part of it, man. You're a big part of it.
Hey,
and
if I put you on my shoulders, that's all that matters to me. I don't need the accolades and the ego boosting and all that. I've had all that. I've been that guy. And I don't want to be that guy.
Either, man. But I appreciate it. Hey, I achieved my life goal, which was to talk to Mike Adams. Actually, that was like one of my life goals. So, but it doesn't mean I'm over. I said next goal is Jordan Peterson. So
Hey, yeah, that
we'll
should
see.
not be a problem.
That's the
I
next
see
one.
you. Yeah, hopefully we can get you there within the year. And we briefly talked about it, but I'd still like to put together some kind of college tour. So that's why I want you to go over to Cape Canaveral or Miami to the Charlie Ward so you can meet Zester. Because
Bro,
Zester,
college tour would be sick. That'd be
yeah, I
awesome.
know. Zester's like 30 something, but he's a crypto guy.
Yeah, let's do it.
So
I have other people
you'll
too from my
compliment.
college group that I have on
Mhm.
campus at USF.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right, man. We need to stay talking more
We do.
often.
We
Yeah,
should.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Let me cut this off. Thanks for being here, sir. I appreciate it. Oh,
Thank you,
hang on.
everybody, and everybody watching on my end too. Appreciate it.
I believe this is what you did, and it was the left hand
Yes.
that covered the right, correct?
Yep. Balquan. Yep.
See, I'm paying attention. Thank you, Cory.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Peace out.
Cory Endrulat. I'm telling you, folks, okay, you're going to see him on the horizon making waves. He's going places, very articulate, intelligent, intellectually curious young man, which that steals my heart when I have somebody who's intellectually curious. And then when I can talk to somebody who's way smarter than I am, more intelligent, more well read than I am, I just sit back and listen and look for my little places where I can get in and fit in and pull more knowledge out of there. Very impressed with that young man. Very impressed. So y'all should follow him. Y'all go check him out. I put his website over here, NITA.1. That stands for Nature is the Answer.1. So y'all go check him out over there. Follow him. Go watch him over on YouTube and other social media platforms. He's using Twitch as well. So if you use Twitch, go check that out. For all my viewers, I know let's go over there and let's go see what Mark has to say. And hopefully he'll have some better news than I have. So for all of you who've been watching, thank you very much. I appreciate each and every one of you. Obviously, I have a 6-minute promo coming up on Ann's Specialty Books. If you want the PDF, it is ready. I sent out pre-orders today. So it is officially a book. The only thing I'm lacking is sending it to the Library of Congress to get copyrighted. But that's no big deal. That's my next step. And then I'm done. I'm done with Ann LaFleur and Floyd Pleasant Tarvin IV's books. And I'm on to this one. That's the next one. So I'll be doing the ISBN for both the soft cover and the ebook for this one. I will start editing it, and hopefully it will be done before the weekend. And I'll be able to send it to my printer, get it published, have an ebook done, and it'll be available on the website. It will be solicited to different big publishing houses like Random House, not an endorsement. So be sure to like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell. If you want to reach me, The Fierce Floyd Show at yahoo.com. FierceFloydShow.com is my website. My phone number is down at the bottom. You may call me 9 to 9 Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday, and I will answer the phone. If not, you're going to get my voicemail. So thank you for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'll catch you when I catch you. I was going to do some Life After Exchange videos tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you for hanging around to watch this special promo on the new book by Ann LaFleur and Fearless Floyd, Specialty Trusts. We'll dive right in. There's the cover to the On Trust books. That's the first book that Ann wrote. This is the 3rd edition on revocable, irrevocable, foreign, charitable, remainder, express, college education, and land trusts. It has instructions, templates, examples, everything you need in this trust or in this book to run these 7 different trusts. Everything you need. Here's the table of contents. And please disregard the error bookmark, not defined, notices on the right hand of the screen. There is a lot of redundancy in this book simply because the simplicity of how it was adopted from the classes. So you're going to see, a trustee appointment letter in every one of the trusts when you just really need one and just change the information. Here we go. This is a specialty trust cover. And here are all the trusts that are available in this book: How to Create and Operate Specialty Trust, full instructions, templates, and examples to create and operate. A Q-tip, a qualified terminal interest property trust, qualified personal residence trust, irrevocable life insurance trust, third-party special needs trust, community property trust, asset protection trust, discretionary trust, ministry trust, decedent trust, charitable trust, special needs trust, perpetual family trust, testamentary discretionary trust, grantor retained annuity trust, irrevocable farm trust, pets trust, AB trust, and marital trust, as well as the bonus DNA trust addendum. Here is the table of contents. And again, please disregard the error bookmark at not defined. And here we go with the DNA trust. Wanted to show you guys a little bit of this. That's the first 3 pages right there. This is the bonus. You can add this to any one of the trusts. Doesn't matter whether it's a revocable, irrevocable, foreign express, pets trust, same thing. If you'd like to get one of the books or a combination or a package, the ebooks are available for $249 each, and that's either the On Trust or Specialty Trust books. If you'd like a soft cover, they are $259. I do have package deals available at thefearlessfloydshow.com/store on my website. If you'd like to do an a la carte package deal that I don't have available and you want to put something together, hit me up, thefearlessfloydshow@yahoo.com. I mainly hang out over on Telegram, so come hit me up over there. These 2 books are probably the only books you will ever need if you ever want to operate in trust, and everybody should at least research it and see if it's right for you and your family. Thank you for watching, everybody. I appreciate it. And I'll see you at the next show.